Uric Classic Whole Body Tonic is a dietary supplement, not a drug. Therefore, it is useful to affect the structure and/or function of your body in various ways, but it is not intended to and will not cure, mitigate, treat, or prevent any disease. Individual testimonials may not be everyone's experience and do not constitute scientific evidence. Uric Corporation does not make any drug or treatment claims for its product.
Hey everyone, the Tonic Man. Here I am again, and here you are. Thank you for being on the call. Although we have a bit of a crisis going on in the world, I played that particular introduction because every word that was mentioned is what you have to be thinking about today. You, your loved ones, your friends, your family, is how this body can regenerate, how it can protect itself. All the thousands now of stories that we've heard and the success stories over the years, I reviewed some of them again this week. They are just so unbelievable. I mean, holy cow. I remember a few weeks ago it was Carrie who was on the call, and her husband couldn't even speak, so she was speaking for him. He couldn't even sleep in a bed for, I don't know, a year, 2 years, 4 years. I don't know. It was in a recliner. That's about all he could do. We just got a message from Esther, who was the lady who sponsored Carrie and introduced her to the tonic, saying that he slept in a bed for the first time this week. I mean, we're going to have him back on the call. I mean, holy cow. So if this tonic can bring your body around to regenerate to that capacity and to do things that it has been doing for, I don't know, how many years is it, since 1943? Then it means it can bring your body back to a place that it could maybe just protect you from what's going on today. A strong body will withstand influenza. It's been doing it for years. And, you know, until this virus thing started, I did not know that 70,000 people a year die, or 50,000 some years, 74,000 1 year, last year, 2 years ago, I'm not sure, of regular flu. I did not know that because I never heard it. We never heard on TV that people were dying of flu, and now we're listening to it. And so far, they say in this country 400 people have died and 1,400 in the world. I'm not sure what the numbers are, but I know it said 400 in the United States. I don't know how many in Canada, but the population is 1/10 of the United States, so maybe it's 1/10, unless it got as bad there as it is in Italy. But the fact is that we are living through, the president calls it a war. Yeah, it's a war. The country has to put on a war effort. Look what's happening. And what they've told us is that the most people who do die are the elderly, or those that are already ill, or those that already have heart or lung problems. But that's what happened with regular influenza all along. Those people that died are largely the weaker, or the ones that have a very compromised immune system and general health. So if you're strong and you stay strong, you may very well be able to beat it, even though you may get it. And as you see from the statistics, a lot of people test positive. They quarantine themselves for the couple of weeks, and then they're fine. Many do not even need to have any kind of medical treatment. They're positive, but it doesn't affect them. Well, it doesn't affect them, I would imagine, because their body is protecting them. So we told you in the last few weeks and in the last couple of calls and in the last couple of email blasts all about the immune system and how the JC Tonic has been shown to really boost the immune system. And that's one of the very first things that Doc Mowry told us when he first looked at this product. And that was in the year, I think, 1999 or 98, 99. We met Dr. Mowry. He had written his book, Herbal Tonic Therapies. He wrote it in 1993 or 6. Anyway, he told us that from looking at the formula and what it is composed of, that it's a tremendous immune system booster. And in the 10 points that he writes on our website, he mentions what a whole body tonic must be able to accomplish in order to be allowed to be called a whole body tonic. Guess which tonic in the world is able and allowed and permitted to be called a whole body tonic? You got it! The JC, folks. And it's been doing that for all these years since 1943. So I implore you, if you haven't boosted your dose, start boosting it. The more you boost it, the stronger your body will get, and the more likelihood you'll have a mild time of it, even if you do come in contact with the virus. Now, this is not a cure for virus, as you well know, and we make sure we tell everybody this is a cure for nothing. None of the health issues that anybody ever reported on this call disappeared from their body because this tonic cured it. That's not how this tonic works. This tonic works by cleaning up your body, regenerating it, making it stronger, letting it do its job again that it used to do before you ever went to a doctor, before you ever had a cold, before you ever got sick. Sure, people get colds even though they don't have a big health challenge for their first maybe 40, 50 years. Sometimes people's colds last longer and are more intense and they miss work for a week or more. Some people have a really bad time of it. Others, it's a sniffle. But you know what? We have people drinking this 10, 20, 30, 40 years who do not get colds anymore. I personally don't get colds. Never have. I believe that it's the immune system that will decide whether or not you're going to have a bad time of it, of a cold. A cold is a virus. Influenza is a virus. Now, this virus, the corona one, may be a lot stronger and more dangerous. So all the more that you should boost your body and its ability to fight back. So change the diet if you don't have a good diet. Start eating healthy food, more salads, more fruit, more vegetables, less French fries, less processed foods that are beaten up so much there's hardly anything of nutritive value left in them. By the time they bash up this food and then they freeze it or however they do it, a lot of the good nutrients have been lost. Do you know why they call white bread enriched white bread? It's enriched because they have added these vitamins and minerals, because the flour has virtually no nutritive value left after it's bleached, the white flour. So they make the bread, and in order for it to be somewhat healthy, they have to add minerals and vitamins. Do you know how that happened and why it happened? Well, I'm not sure if this is the real true story, but it sounds plausible. Apparently in the Middle Ages, that dark, rough bread that everybody was eating was too plebeian for the aristocrats. So somebody came up with the idea to make nice white flour for the aristocrats. So it was more expensive, but everything was removed from it in order to make it. And then the aristocrats started getting ill, and no one knew why they were getting ill. And then one day someone discovered why they're getting ill, because they're getting virtually no nutritive value out of bread. And they ate a lot of bread, of course, in those days. And so somebody decided, well, we better do something about that. So they started to enrich it and add back all the vitamins and minerals that they took out when they were bleaching it and processing it. What a story that is. So look on the labels, folks. And any words that you really don't understand, don't buy that food for every day. You know, if it's a treat and you want to do it once in a while, but certainly not every day. And above all, not your children. The children should have decent, strong, good, nutritive value food. And make them a sandwich with whole wheat bread or rye bread or pumpernickel bread. They may even think it's pretty neat. I used to do that for my daughters when they were going to school, even right through high school. Anytime I was still in town while they were going to school, when I was not traveling, I would make sure that they had the lunch of a lifetime ready for them in the morning. And I would make like a Dagwood sandwich, you know, pumpernickel bread, some home-cooked roast or ham or fresh green peppers, some celery, I mean, boy, remember one time my older daughter, Alexa, came home and said, wow, they really thought my lunch was nice. I said, what do you mean? Well, they said, there's Alexa again with a gastronomical lunch. And I said, well, why? What do they eat? And she said, well, a lot of them eat Lunchables. I said, what is a Lunchable? I didn't even know what a Lunchable was. Well, if anybody knows what a Lunchable is, then you know what I'm talking about. If you don't know, don't ever eat a Lunchable. And above all, don't send your children to school with that. Make them the sandwich. So it takes 15 minutes more out of your time, out of your day. But you know what? As the children grow up, they'll be stronger. They'll be able to withstand these kind of things that are going to be probably more and more prevalent in the world. So my call tonight is really to talk about this and to talk to you again about you should be talking to everybody you know and telling them to get on the tonic, that it is a really great system booster, that is a tremendous immune booster. Well, share some of these success stories with those folks. Let them listen to them. You don't have to let them listen to my part. Just edit it down or fast forward to the story part. I mean, the one the other day of Carrie's husband, Robert, I mean, we sent out an email with a blast with all the different health issues. Holy cow, it reads like an encyclopedia of the things that were wrong with him. You wonder how a person is still alive, how they can exist. And yet he did, but he had to sleep in a recliner. Now half of all of these problems are already gone. And now he's sleeping in a bed. Holy cow, imagine the change. Imagine the change in the quality of life. Boy, is he one happy guy. Well, he's going to come back on the call. We also had Dorothy the other day. Did you see the pictures of her before and after pictures? Holy Toledo. Somebody said, why are you not selling this JC Tonic as a weight loss product? Because look at the pictures of Dorothy. Besides her health in general changing miraculously, she lost weight. Boy, does she look good. So what about everybody you know who's looking to lose weight and has tried everything and nothing works? Well, Dorothy is not the only one. We sent out a picture of a fellow before and after picture 3 years ago, maybe more. He lost 100 pounds in about 8 months, drinking only 4 ounces a day. That, if you want to add it up, is a lot less costly than any weight loss program you can think of. Any, of which most of them don't work. At least that's what the folks say. But working and getting weight off may be one thing, but keeping it off is another thing. So when you do it with the JC Tonic, you lose the weight and then it stays off because you continue your 1 ounce a day maintenance, and it will continue to flush the body of the toxins, the junk, the garbage that comes into the body, even if you do pig out on some fast food stuff once in a while. Heck, I do it once in a while, but you don't do it 5 times a day, and you don't do it 5 days a week or 7 days a week. You do it periodically. Your body, if it's in good shape, is able to get rid of the junk that should not be in it. That's what a good, healthy body does all the time. So, folks, I need you to get serious about this. This virus is not getting better, although I feel that it's going to run its course. I feel also that the authorities are taking tremendous steps and quickly to mitigate and make sure that it's as easy as possible for everybody. And it's hard for some people. And I talk to an awful lot of people. And those folks that were working in restaurants that are all closed now, that's tough on people. But you know what? The toughest thing would be is if they catch the virus and their bodies cannot control it. So please get everybody on the bandwagon, on the JC Tonic wagon, and make sure that they're drinking, and make sure that your children are getting a measure of it every day. And you'll see that whatever may happen with regard to the virus, if it comes into your household, the stronger you are, the easier it's going to be on everybody. And the authorities say that every single day. Now they're saying there's only 10% of everybody that's tested that's positive. Well, that's good news. So that means that if you keep strong, you won't even have to go and get tested. There will be no reason to unless you feel the symptoms coming on. Don't go out and get tested and take somebody's test out there if you don't need it, if you don't have a symptom. You know what the symptoms are? Well, I think you all know what they are. They've been repeating them all day long, all week long, night and day. But don't go out and take someone else's mask and someone else's swab when they're in short supply. Leave them for the people that are going to need them, those that start to have symptoms. They should be tested. So all these things will be helpful if we all participate. And the other day I was pleased to go into my local grocery store, and at the checkout counter there's a piece of paper that said no refunds will be given on any item bought during the coronavirus period. Because and I said, why'd you have that? Well, the clerk said, after a hurricane or a tornado or whatever the disaster is, everybody brings back the stuff they loaded up on and hoarded. And I said, you mean to say the stores took it back? They said, yeah. I said, boy, is that dumb. Well, stores want to be good citizens and return anything you want, but that's just not fair. When people go and load up and grab everything on the shelf and hoard it, and then when the crisis is over, they bring it back and get their money back? No. I'm glad the store did that. I hope they all do that. So now, you could get 2 waters or 2 breads or 2 whatever it is. Limit to 2. Fine. You need more? Go back 3 days later, because there's a new truck full of stuff that comes into every grocery store every single morning. Maybe more, and maybe one at night as well, because somebody was telling me you go early in the morning, there's always stuff on the shelves, but by evening they're cleaned out. But somebody stacking a shelf the other evening when I went in said, well, come back in the morning. We have a truck arriving any time now. Once it's unloaded, we'll start restacking. So there's not really shortages of food in this country. That's one thing about this country. Lots of food. And folks, if you give everybody a chance, I think we'll all get through this pretty darn well. So that's what I wanted to tell you tonight, and I just wanted you to know that JC Tonic will be a great help to you for that and many other reasons, of course. And if you get started on the tonic and you have friends that are getting started on it and they continue, try and get them to stay on that 1 ounce maintenance for the duration, because over the next 30 years, if they keep their body in a good maintenance mode, they won't have to come from behind the 8 ball. They will already have a body that will stand an awful lot, and the blood sugar imbalance, and the high blood pressure imbalance, and the cholesterol imbalance, and all these, what they call diseases, are simply because the body can no longer prevent it from happening, because it doesn't have the wherewithal. Because before you ever went to a doctor, guess what? You never went to a doctor. You never had a health issue. Why? Because your body was preventing it from happening. It's your body that's the great preventer. If your body's strong, has decent nutrition, gets a reasonably good night's sleep, it'll handle the stress better, it'll handle everything better. And that's the thing we want you to do now and with your children, and get your parents and the grandparents starting to drink a little, half an ounce to get started. Let them start to get a little bit more energy, and watch and see what happens when you have a dog that's walking a little wobbly and you give it to your dog. In no time at all, the dog is going to be walking better. Watch and see, and you can observe this easily. And by the way, take a video of your pet that's having any kind of health issue, and then start giving it a half an ounce or even an ounce to help out. You'll see in the video it'll be walking wobbly, and then all of a sudden less wobbly, and then all of a sudden straight, and it'll stand up straighter, and so on. Or it'll just wake up and start jumping again on the sofa, if you allow that to happen. But watch and see. That's the best way to test this, to see if it works. And if your family or your loved ones are giving you a hard time about, the tonic, tell them, never mind you. Let's do your pet, the one that's sick, that's lying down, that has no energy. Then they'll do it because it's their pet. Once they see the pet jump up and down, they might start to say, hey, if it worked on the pet, why not me? And it will, of course. And you know that. So we all face those kind of hurdles when we're trying to encourage someone to try the tonic and get on it and help with their health issues. But it's not easy. Never said it was. But you stay with it, you stay at it. Okay? And boy, on that note, as you can see, I could just go on and on and on. And if I had all the time in the world, I would. But we wanted to try and limit our calls to half an hour. What I do want to do on a more frequent basis is open up the lines to a Q&A. So all of you on the call tonight, start thinking of the kind of question that would be useful for everybody on the call to hear. What would be the question? What would be the answer? It can be anything, but not technical things, not things about the business, not things about if you want to be a distributor, how do I do it? Those kind of things you learn from your sponsor or from us directly on a one-on-one call. But these calls that have to do with the health and the health benefits and why the JC Tonic works and how it works and all those kind of things, they could be interesting questions for new people on the call. Or they could be interesting questions for people that you're going to share this call with. So, for example, tonight, if you take this call when we email it out on the first of the week and send it off to your email contact list and say, hey, listen to this fellow. He's talking about things that are pretty logical, pretty commonsensical. Maybe you want to have a look at it, John, Mary. You know, maybe this is going to be good for you and little Johnny and little Mary. Those are the kind of things that people would say, well, maybe I'll have a listen to. And when they hear some of the comments I make, or maybe in the future some with the Q&A and people come up with a good question, they would say, hey, that was a good question. Hey, that's a great answer. Yeah, maybe I'll try it. So these are the tools you can use to help other people understand how this can work in their lives. And that's what we want to do. We want all of you. If you do 5 people each, we'll cover the 7 billion on the planet in no time. Because everybody who does 5 people, it won't take very long to cover a few billion. So remember what happened with Facebook, which started in a dorm in a university. And now what do they got? 250 billion people. That's because, you know, John told Mary, who told Henry, who told Frank, who told Jane, and that's how it happened. So in the network marketing business and in the product distribution as we do it, if you tell 2 people who tell 2 people who tell 2 people, in probably a week there's 4,000 people who know about it. Just write that down and calculate it and do it. Try it tomorrow. Tell 2 people tomorrow about JC Tonic. In your own words, whatever you want to do. I've told you how to do it. I've told you how to make the presentation. Doesn't matter how you make it. Any way you want. If you get 2 people tomorrow and you get them each to tell 2 people and make sure they help to get each of those 2 people to tell 2 people, you will have a group of people that you won't believe it. You'll have to quit your job just to look after all these folks who are going to want to have tonic and want to have their questions answered. So bring them to this call. It's a good place for them to get their feet wet and to learn a little bit about what's going on and understand. Some of the things I talk about, the explanations will be helpful. There's a great deal, of course, on the website. And if we have a regular Q&A, say once a month, a good, robust question and answer period, maybe for a half an hour, a lot of good things could come out of that. So start thinking about that and do come back to the call and be ready for that, because maybe just next week we'll get started. And it doesn't matter if there's 1 or 2 people to begin with, that's fine. You'll be timid maybe at the beginning, but little by little you'll start to feel, well, I can do that, and you'll get on the call and you'll have a question that hopefully will be useful for everybody. And if it's not useful for everybody, it's easy. I'll just tell you, if it's a question that I can answer personally or somebody at home office can or your sponsor can, we'll just tell you, because it may not be something that's of use to all the rest of the people on the call. It may not. So we just play it by ear. So think about good questions. Something about the tonic, something about the ingredients, something about how it works, why it works, the history. There's a tremendous amount of history from the time my father started to work on it in 1922. Imagine, 1922. 1943, he had it on the market commercially. There's a lot of good stuff in there to talk about. And it makes a good story to talk to other people. When you say, hey, you know, this is not something that was just developed 2 weeks ago, 6 months ago, 6 years ago. It's been on the market since 1943. The people are going to take a step backwards. What? You know, I keep telling people the only thing that I ever saw in this country that may have been on the market longer was Kraft cheese, because there's a picture of Mr. Kraft and his covered wagon delivering his cheese back about in the turn of the century. The JC Tonic has been here for over 75 years, folks, and doing its job. And as you see from the success stories, doing it a bang-up job. So go revisit all those wonderful success stories that we've emailed to you. Get them to your smartphone. Send the link to your smartphone. So when you're with people and you have an opportunity and somebody said, hey, my mother has neuropathy. You say, really? Listen to this. And you go to your phone, you go to one of the blasts, and you see at the bottom of the blast there's a list of probably 20 different calls. One is neuropathy, one is mental anguish, one is this, one is that. You click on it and say, listen to this, right there on the spot. I guarantee you that person's going to say, what? What is this? Tell me more. That's how to do it in this time, in this day and age with these smartphones. So do that. If you don't know how to send your email and that link to your smartphone, ask your child. They'll know. I ask my daughters how to do things. I don't know how to do half of the stuff. So ask your child, or maybe your grandchild even knows more. You know, the youngsters, they're whizzes at this now, magicians. So just ask them how to do it and do it for you. That might also get them interested in drinking the tonic when they start doing this for you and say, hey, Dad, hey, Mom, let me have your phone. I'll put the new one on for you here. And then they listen to it. You know, this is helpful as well. So there's an awful lot of things and ways and means that you can pass the word and pay it forward. Please, pay it forward, folks. We need this even more so today because of this virus problem. We got to get bodies stronger. And the stronger the body, the easier time it's going to be. All right? And they say that we are only 5 people away from somebody that we may want to meet. So somebody of you is only 5 people away from, say, the President of the United States, or from your governor, or from your mayor, or from somebody who may have some ability to understand and get this into the public view. Now, most people will not because we are so brainwashed, but if you have a mayor or a governor or a president or anybody that may have a chance to help us who is ill, and you get it into their body and they start to see the symptoms disappear, whether it's diabetes or cholesterol or whatever, boy, oh boy, oh boy. You just never know, okay? So on that note, folks, of course, as you see, I can go on, and I would, but we'll cut it down to our regular time, half an hour or so. When we do the Q&A, we will open the calls up, so we'll have an extra maybe 15 minutes, even more. If there are good questions and people want to keep talking, hey, we'll just keep talking, as long as people want to listen and hear and learn, okay? So there we are, and I wish you all the very best. Make sure that you do your best to wash those hands, stay the 6 feet apart. What I learned today I heard about it, but it really hit home today, is surfaces of money, for example. When you get money at the store and you put it in your wallet, don't put your fingers to your mouth. Apparently money has 300 different germs on it, you know. I never even thought about that in my life, handling money. But it's another thing to think of. Don't go crazy, but take the precautions and, stick the money in the wallet or the purse and then wash your hands, or take one of those wipes that are in the stores, or maybe you have some in your car with you now, and take that precaution, okay? So there we are. I'm glad that you're here. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it very much. I will be back next week. We will have a good program for you. We will have another guest with a great story. We're trying to get Robert back. That's the fellow who slept in a bed for the first time in forever, back on the call, so he can tell his updated story. This is going to be a humdinger. And, of course, all of you are invited to come and tell your stories, and or anybody that you know. And we need your help for that, because the more people that come to the call, the better it is for everybody as we send out these stories. The more, the merrier for these stories. Some people listen to a story once and they hear a different one from a different person about the same health issue, and then they say, oh, and then they hear a third one. Oh, that's it. I'm going to do it. This is human nature. We're like that. So just keep at it. We have our pal Betty, who is always on our call, or very often, and she brought Dorothy to the call last week. And as she said on the call we had a Q&A, she said, I just keep at it. I mean, I just call them back again, and eventually they say, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I should try it. We're like that. This is human nature stuff. So stick with it. A lot of people said I don't talk about it anymore because they all tell me to keep quiet when I bring it up. It's not everybody. There's only one or two loudmouths around us at all times. And if you let them tamp you down, you're going to probably miss saving somebody's life. And it's as simple as that. This is a lifesaver. So save your lives, drink, and be healthy, and stay healthy, and especially through this, all the very best. Okay? So as we say around here, take an ounce and feel the bounce, and we will see you next week. Good night for now.